I'm going to create an app service as well as a VNet for the app service that will have a service endpoint. I'll create a VM to test the connectivity for the service endpoint, which should be in a private network. And I'm also going to test from the public to access the app service as well. I'm going to create a resource group. I'm going to call it app service resource group. I'm going to create a virtual network. I'm going to call it app VNet. I'm going to leave the security as default. IP addresses, I'm going to leave it as default for now. And I'm click review and create. And click create. And the VNet just got deployed. So I'm going to go to the resource that I just created. I'm going to go to service endpoint. I'm going to select add. And I'm going to select Microsoft.web for the app service I'm going to create. And I'm going to select the default VNet, the default subnet, sorry. So you could see here, there's a default subnet that was created with the VNet. Now I'm going to create a virtual machine. I'm going to select the app service resource group. I'm going to call the virtual machine VM1. And it's going to be, the region is going to be Canada Central. For availability zone, I'm going to select no infrastructure density required. For the virtual machine, I'm going to select the Windows Server 2022 data center. I'm going to leave the size as default. I'm going to enter username and password. I'm going to allow public inbound ports for RDP on port 3389. I'm going to leave this as default, except for I'm going to change the OS disk type to standard SSD, best for web servers that use enterprise applications and for dev and test. For networking, I'm going to leave all the defaults as it already populated the values. And for public IP, I'm going to leave the default so it could create any public IP for me so I could RDP to the virtual machine. I'm going to leave all the rest of the things as default. So I'm going to click review and create. And I'm going to create the virtual machine. Take a minute or two for the virtual machine to get created. So the virtual machine just got created. So I'm just going to go to resource quickly and select connect. And you can see I have a public IP and a private IP address. So I'm just going to click the check access and it should say accessible soon. And I'm going to download the RDP file. I'm going to create an app service. I'm going to choose web app. I'm going to pick the app service resource group. I'm going to call app service Madman. And for the runtime stack, I'm just going to select Java 17. And for the web service stack, I'm going to leave Java SE as defaults. And for region, I'm going to leave it as Canada Central. The Lex plan, I'm going to leave as defaults. Pricing plan, I'm going to leave this as default as well. And server density, I'll leave as the default. Next, I'm going to go database. I'm not going to create a database for this, so I'm going to leave this unchecked here. For the deployment, I'm just going to leave it as default because I'm not going to use GitHub or anything to deploy projects. For networking, I'm going to enable public access. For enable virtual network integration, I'm going to turn that on. I'm going to select the app VNet. For monitor and secure, I'm going to leave this as default whenever it populates. And I'm going to select review and create because I'm not going to bother with the tags. And I'm going to create the app service. Now I'm going to go to the app service I just created. So if you see here, if I click browse, it's going to open up the default web page for now. If I close that, I could go to advanced tools. So I'm at the advanced tools. You could go to site www.root. You can see this is the default host web page that there's right now, which is the hosting start page. So go back. You have different options, so you can see the environment, which the server is running. You could use SSH commands on the server, and you could use bash commands on the server. So if I wanted to, I could go list the directory. and you can see the hosting page, the hosting start HTML pages there. I just logged on to the virtual machine I just created, VM1, and you can see I'm using the public IP address. I'm opening Microsoft Edge. I'm going to go to the app service website I just created, and you can see I'm at the default web page that was just created. During this demonstration, I was able to access the app service through the public internet, as well as the virtual machine using a private endpoint that was accessing this service endpoint. Now I'm going to delete the resource groups that were created, starting with the app service resource group. Now I'm going to delete the network watcher resource group. And I'm going to delete this default resource group. All the resource groups have been deleted, and this concludes my demonstration.